Welcome back to how to make live AR pictures. This time we're going to look at how we pause the animation while the image is not on the screen of the device. So what we're going to have to do is control our videos so that they pause their playback when they move off the screen. And to do that, we're going to have to build a list of all our players so that we can talk to them individually. So to handle this, we're going to use this programming concept called a dictionary. A dictionary is similar to an array because it stores a list of items, but what it also does is it stores those lists of items and they have a reference or a key value that identifies them uniquely. So we can look up that item by its key value. So let's put that together. So up in my class, I'm going to define a variable just like we normally would, and I'm going to call it video players because this is going to be our dictionary of video players. So it looks a bit like an array, but what I'll do is I'll add my key, which is going to be of type string, and my value that I'm going to store is my AV player. That's of type AV player. So that's how I write my dictionary. Then I add an open and close bracket to say my dictionary is currently empty. Now, if we were going to look at this from our normal sense, the string is the name of the video that we're going to play, but the AV player is the actual video object that is playing. So I hope that kind of makes sense what's going on, because now we're going to start building it. We need to understand how we're storing it. So let's return to our player item function, and we're going to add a bit of code. The first one we're going to add is us storing the video in our dictionary. So video players is our dictionary. So we write that down because that's what we're going to store to. And then we need to say, well, what is our key value? What are we going to call that? In this case, it would be really great to use the image name. So whether it be bird or tiger or whatever that object that we're going to be using is that image. So let's put in image name in here, and that looks pretty good to me. And now what we need to do is with that key reference is put in the AV player item, which is our player. So it all matches up really nicely. So at this point, you might be saying, well, why don't we just use an array to store this? And I think it's a good thing to realize that if we were doing this as an array, we would have all these values, like an array is just stored in a sequence from 0 to whatever. And what you might find happen is we don't know what images we've seen. So as we're adding them, we don't know what order they're going in or what order they're going to leave. But by using a dictionary, we refer to each item in our dictionary by the name, so by that image name. So when we say, oh, I want to pause this, then we just look up the correct one. I hope that clarifies the difference between why we don't use an array and why we're choosing to use a dictionary. So at this point, what's going to start happening is as our videos play, they're going to be added to this dictionary. And to make sure that we're not going to use up all our memory, what we're going to do is check to see if the dictionary value already exists for the current movie, so looking for its image name. And if it does, we will just return that straight back to the player. So we're not setting up any new players or anything. So what we're going to do is just add a line of code in our player item at the top. And this is our check. So we're going to say if, and we're going to create a temporary variable called cached. So we say if let cached equals. And this process here is just to say, let's look at what is in our video players and look to see if there's already a dictionary record for the current image in there. And if there is, let's just return that cached item. So essentially what we're saying is don't create a new player, just pull that one out of the dictionary and send that one through and play it. Now what we need to do is actually now set up the play and pause functionality for each item in the dictionary. So we're going to use another renderer function, but this time it's going to be for did update. So as you can see, there's lots of renderer types there. And the key one is that second word. So we're looking for did update. So let's just hit enter on top of that one. We're going to add a bit of code now that is just going to protect to make sure that there is a node and that there is a movie. So we're going to use the guard statement, and we're going to say guard let name is equal to node.name. So we'll just make sure that there's a node existing, and also let player equal our video player and the name. So that's our checking our dictionary. And if it doesn't, we're just going to return straight away without doing anything. So we're not updating anything. We're not playing and pausing a video because there isn't one to do that with. So now let's add the code for that. So if there is something there, let's actually play or pause it, depending if we can see it or not. And to do that, we're just going to have an if statement and say, if the node is hidden, then we're going to pause the player. So player.pause. Else, if the node is not hidden, but we also want to check that the player is paused before we start playing it. So we check the player rate is equal to 0, and then we start playing the movie. Okay, so all we need to do now is basically build our application and make sure it's good. And now we're going to run it. And if everything has worked, we should actually get the effect we're after. Now in our next movie, we're going to add a fade effect, so it's a bit more seamless between transitions. So I'll see you in that one.